Hello, everyone. Good evening to everyone. I'm going to let everyone have a minute just to come on in. All right, while you are coming in, I have to tell you that I have been having the most amazing time since I ended up last. I have listened to absolutely all of the speakers, and it have just really and truly have been phenomenal. This is the first time I've had the privilege to be able to participate in a Pass the Cast. So it really and truly has been a awesome experience. So thank you, Coach, for orchestrating this. And really and truly, just a level to experience and hear some of the other women's stories. I think it's like that. Period. You come in contact with people all the time, but you really and truly just don't seem to know where everyone has come from because everyone has a story. So I have just some amazing ladies that I am proud to be in fellowship with. So if you have not followed me or you have not caught any of my broadcasts, my name is Alecia Nicole Johnson, and I am a Kingdom business coach and visionary strategist. I am also the founder of the Kingdom CEO movement, and I am very excited to be sharing my journey with you tonight in the Pain to Profit. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories, but I'll try to make them a little bit quick. Believe it or not, my journey really and truly actually began all the way back at the age of 7. And that's literally when I first caught the vision that one day I was going to be, for one, a teacher, and then number two, I was going to be what I called at that time period a businesswoman. That's how far my language went. And so then by middle school, I tell you, believe it or not, I had worked this vision. I had actually begun to see this thing manifest. I had formed my own company. I called it J&J Enterprises. I started looking for partners. That was the other J. So I guess if your name began with a K, you was just out of luck. You couldn't be my partner. But anyway, I had actually stepped into my first entrepreneurial assignment at that point. One of the moms hired me that summer to go ahead and teach her daughter how to play band. And so that summer, J&J Enterprises was official because I was getting a paycheck, okay? I was 14 and I was young, about 12, collecting coins. And so you would think that for a girl to be so young and a heart so full of dreams and visions and purpose and talking all the right language that I really and truly would have graduated into my greatness. Like I would have been one of those first .com, type kids. But that was not necessarily the case. Although I didn't know it then, I was in a process. So just like, the Bible King David, I had the vision at a very early age, but yet I found myself in the midst of a process at such a young age. And so, with all the dreams that I had, they seemed to be overshadowed by what I considered at that time to be a nightmare that I was living at home. I was living in a place of pain, a place of hurt, and a place of rejection on basically a daily basis. And so if you can imagine with me, adolescent girl who comes home from school, all excited about the school day, had a routine, the backpack would drop off my back and I'd enter into my bedroom, but then there would be days, this particular day, and for sure, I come in and I see my dresser drawers are pulled ajar. And I see we had one of those big old school brooms with the heavy handle. It was a red handle. That long handled broom would be propped against the wall. The curtain to my closet would be pulled ajar. And then in the middle of the floor would always be a big pile of all of my, belongings, the little girl stuff. And so as soon as I seen it, my heart automatically sank, and I just would brace myself because I know what was coming next. I began to hear the threats, and the threats would be coming from my grandmother. She'd be in the kitchen cooking, and she'd say, "Lisa, you're not being any use to me." That's what they called me. And she'd say, you have a mother, you have a father, you can always go and live with them. And so, she also would continue to say, like, well, I don't have to keep you here with me. So, whenever I'd start hearing that, I get real frantic. So I try to start cleaning and saying to myself, I'll be good. And, basically just wondering if this would be the last day that I get sent away from the only home I've ever known because, grandma and grandpa had raised me. And so, the threats that she said was real. And it was crushing to me because I had visited both my parents' home, and there was no place for me there either. They had beds, but I didn't sleep in the bed. There was no bed for me to sleep in. There were clothes in the closets, but they weren't mine. There were even toys and cute little purses for young girls and stuff like that, but none of them belonged to me. They all belonged to my sibling. And so, both sets of parents, they had other children that they were raising. I just lived someplace else. So the thought of me having to leave my home, the only home that I ever know, and to go live with who I refer to as those people, it was crushing to me. So at a very young age, I developed anxiety at a young age because I never knew when it was coming, when the thought would come, or when I'd have to get the command. Or if I went to go visit, I'd always have to wonder in the back of my mind if I was going to be stuck there. So from that age and those experiences, it taught me really two things about life. Number one is that, Alecia, you need to help and serve all the people around you, or else they send you away. And then number two is that, you're not valued. You're like the trash. You could be tossed out at any day. And then really the third thing is look, you keep quiet and, do what you're told to do. And that's how you survive in the world. So then you imagine being a young girl with all of your adolescent years and your core belief system developing, having those kind of thoughts about your own identity. So, there was a period, there was probably most of my life, along with that pain of being unwanted and unloved, I was angry. And I was full of resentment, and I didn't like anybody, including myself. And I went on like this for years, okay? Years, and clueless that literally I had a problem. I thought everybody else had a problem, all right? And so because of all this anger and negative emotions that I had on the inside of me, the vision that God had gave me, to go ahead and have my little J&J Enterprises, it never really seemed to blossom. The most that it would do is probably bud is what it would do. And it would kind of manifest in maybe one side hustle or another. I still had my mind there, but it never just fully blossomed, probably because my mind was always busy, it was going over what this person did to me, that person did, how I'm going to check this person, just an emotional wreck, right? And so, like so many of us, me and my issues, we settled into a lifestyle of, only working someone else's vision. So I had my side hustle over here, and I had someone else's vision that I did, over the years. And so, I was on my job, I was teaching, where I was working 50 hours a week. I was active in my local church. I was ordained an elder. I served, with my mean self, I did. I preached, prophesied, trained ministers, did workshops, traveled with my pastors. I did a lot of things, throughout my career, which at that time was all great, but still I found myself frustrated and I found myself unhappy. And, first, it was all the issues that was trying to find themselves out of me, but then it was also that vision that kept pulling at me, because although there's a part of me that was fulfilled, I just had that longing for more. And since I had the vision at such an early age, honey, that's a long time to sit still on something. So if we fast forward some time, I would say that I was finally in a place that I put it out, I was forced to get to the birthing position. It's almost like everything and everyone that, I had probably did 10 backflips for suddenly decided to dry up. And this happened within months. The second husband I had, he packs up, he leaves, takes our business with him and drives away in all 7 cars. Okay. And I come home from work and find this, house is missing, the furniture just gone. Okay. And so the local church that I was part of and very active, and I really and truly love, it closed. The pastors relocated. My only child, he moves off and goes to college. I'm no longer allowed to have contact with my 2 stepchildren. I had 2 long-term friendships that ended. And eventually the job that I loved, and working 50 hours a week happily for, I was coaching teachers and I love coaching. And so my position wound up being eliminated. All right. So you want to talk about a wilderness experience. It was such a hard place and a lonely place. I I cried myself to sleep every night for months, you know, and you better believe that every last one of those negative emotions that, you know, I'm saying the Lord done worked out of me, they all surfaced, okay? And so I had no plan B for any of it. There's no backup friends, there's no backup job, there's no backup, I had no side man, just no plan B for any of it. And I was angry, really, because I gave so much. Okay. And it's hard when you give. All right. And in turn, you know, you feel like you're kind of getting dumped on. Okay. Or you feel like you're getting cut off, or you give, or then it seems like you lose. And so I was angry. Probably I was the new poster child of the mad black woman. Tyler Perry just could have remade that movie and I could have starred in it as myself. Okay. I was a mad black woman. I was angry at the job. I was angry at the church for leaving. I was angry at my ex-husband. I was angry. Well, we were in ministry at that time, so my ex-husband put me out of the church. I was mad at that church that he put me out of. You know, I was angry at God because I felt, God, I have been faithful to you and given more. You know, in my opinion, given it my all. You know, and yet and still this had to happen to me. I was angry at myself for my bad decisions, and I was emotional. You know, it just was a rough season. So I'm crying out, God, this isn't fair. And I've spent all these years serving you. Just wow, wow, wow. And so I couldn't see God's hand in this phase of my life, you know, and like I said, I spent a lot of time crying myself to sleep until I could say I had a but God moment. You guys know what those but God moments are? So it's like God gave me a vision. And so in the vision, he literally showed me a chart, is what he showed me. And so in that chart, I could see the names across the top. And it was my name, my first husband that I married in college, my second husband, the one who rolled out with the cars, and then and then for whatever reason, a boyfriend that I had in high school. So all those names were across the chart. And then if you go down the side of the chart, there was every issue known unto man, okay? There was anger, there was jealousy, there was revenge, every negative emotion you could think of. There was mama issues, there was daddy issues, you know, there was low confidence, self-worth, you name it, it was there. And so then the chart began to fill in. So next to my name and next to daddy issues and my name, there was an X. Then by the ex-husband, there was X's there, and then the same thing by the ex-boyfriend. So everybody had the same issue, and it went like that from mama's daddies to daddy's issues to jealousy to, you know, rage. Everybody had the same issue. And I got an epiphany at that moment. I mean, change really and truly happened because I realized that I was a broken person and that there was no reason for me to be mad at the exes, you know, because quite frankly, they were just simply a reflection of my own brokenness. Truthfully, I married myself. And so if you look at all the people that were on that chart, there was one thing that they had in common, and that was Alecia. So, you know, although they may have did some jacked up stuff, at the end of the day, I could not change them. All I could do is change me and change the decisions that I would make. So then I went to work on me, okay? After I spent some time before the Lord, I mean, we talking fasting, praying, and all the stuff I had going on. I probably need to eat for a year. But nevertheless, I spent a lot of time, you know, before the Lord, fasting, praying, worshiping. And then I did the natural aspect. I found me a good therapist, another Black woman. I was intent on finding somebody who looked like me and could just understand some of the things that, you know, my culture dealt with. And so I went ahead and I got those two things into place. And once it seems like I began to, and I wasn't a rush work, it was a process, you know, a lot of hard nights and a lot of tears. But after I began to do that and get to the root of things and figure out, you know, how my self-worth was affected by those wrong messages that I'm sure the people loved me, they had a hard time expressing it. When I got to the root of that, the vision that I had on the inside of me, it finally began to blossom, okay? Where there were times where I previously just did not have the confidence, or if I would make a mistake, I'd kind of go in a hole and be scared that everything was going to go wrong, that now all of a sudden I developed my bounce back muscle. Okay. So then if it was like, oh, well, we just going to try it again, and learn the ability to laugh at myself, because life is just full of those ups and downs. I got grace for Alecia, something that she had never had before. So as this vision kind of began to come into to blossom, the BizChat Unlimited, that online business academy, that was the first version of it. And so that one was born 3 years ago. And so after a few years, I've just recently rebranded. And so now I have a new baby, and that is the Kingdom CEO movement. And so I'm very excited about that when we are creating a movement of Kingdom CEOs. We are solely existing to improve the economic well-being within the body of Christ. But more specifically, I work as a business coach, a visionary strategist, and I help, women who are ready to put their gifts and their talents and expertise to work and take action by creating their vision for their ministry or for their online business, just walking out what God has given them. And in that, there's a specific component that I spend definitely on mindset and definitely on personal development, because it was so key. Even if you'd like to think that you could only do business coaching, there is a personal development that's always there that's hindering people. So, that is a part of it that I absolutely love. Is built into every single thing that we do. And so, speaking of what we have going on, I am currently doing a 5-day challenge. So I'm going to go ahead and invite you to come on over to my community. It's the Kingdom CEO movement. That's my private Facebook group. And as I said, we're doing a live 5-day vision challenge where we are mapping out our vision. A lot of times people have a vision from God, but the vision is so huge they don't know where to start. So honey, it is absolutely free. I am taking these women through the process of having their vision and dealing with, first of all, themselves. And then from there, we go into writing a vision statement. After we write the vision statement, then we kind of do some mapping. We do a mind map to get it all out. And then we do a vision task where we break it down into chunks. And so we got a few more days called. We're going to go ahead and do our goals. And then we're going to learn about how we can use this vision to create your own expertise. So I am excited about what God is doing, not only in my lives, but as the women that I come in contact with, and especially these amazing speakers. You guys are just dope. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn this back over to Nyla, turn it back over to her. And that is at Nyla Phillips Consulting. Bye, guys.